Okay, so by now you've tried everything and nothing seems to be working. Or you've tried everything and it's semi-working, or then it's working and then it's not working, and so on and so forth. And you're probably starting to feel like a hamster on a running wheel. We've all been there. Well, I want to encourage you. When nothing is working, I want to give you a key to apply to your life and see what happens. Don't disregard it until you try it. Don't let the enemy sneak into your mind and tell you, oh, that's a bad idea, it's not going to work. Don't disregard it until you have tried it. But I don't mean superficially tried it. Well, I've tried it 5 minutes, it's not working, so forget it. No, don't disregard it until you have tried it fully. What is this that I'm talking about? When nothing is working in your life, give it to God. Give it to God. And squeeze yourself to stay in that prayer until you pray in it, you pray through it, you pray over it until God gives you an answer and a solution. Squeeze yourself to stay in that Holy Bible until you find the answer to your issue. It might take a day, it might take 5 minutes, it might take 1 month, it might take a year. Only God knows. But for your encouragement, the Bible says God works for the good of those who love him and who have been called according to his purpose. So if it is taking a year, if you're one of those who has been waiting or is waiting a year or is going to wait a year, it's only because God sees fit that that's what needs to be done. Why? Because in all things, not some, all things, God works for the good of those who love him and who have been called according to his purpose, right? So when nothing is working with your marriage, you've tried everything. You've tried being nice, it doesn't work. You've tried making them jealous, it doesn't work. You've tried giving them the cold shoulder, it doesn't work. You've tried not talking to them, it doesn't work. You've tried marriage counseling, it doesn't work. You've tried ignoring the problem, it doesn't work. Guess what? When nothing seems to be working, give it to God. The only reason why nothing's working is because you haven't given it to God yet. Because you've tried everything apart from God. You've put your trust in everyone apart from God. You've tried all the alternatives apart from God. You've taken every path apart from the one that works, God. Same with your finances. When your finances are not coming in, the source of income seems to be blocked, when business is not going well, give it to God. Get into prayer, get into fasting, get into your Holy Bible, and you stay there, stay there, stay there, stay there. Persistence pays off. You stay there, you stay there, you stay there, and you tell God, I'm not moving until you give me my answer. I'm not moving until you give me my blessing. I'm not letting you go until you bless me. You're allowed to say that to God. Jacob did. Let me find it 1 minute. Okay, so the Bible tells us in Genesis chapter 32, verses 22 through 32, that Jacob was in some kind of danger and he wrestled with God all night long until God gave him what he wanted. This is it. That night, Jacob got up and took his 2 wives, his 2 female servants, and his 11 sons and crossed the ford of the Jabbok. After he had sent them across the stream, he sent over all his possessions. If I'm not mistaken, Jacob was being chased by his brother. The brother wanted to kill him or something like that. And Jacob was fleeing. So Jacob was left alone, and a man wrestled with him till the daybreak. When the man saw that he could not overpower him, he touched the socket of Jacob's hip, so that his hip was wrenched. And he wrestled with the man. Then the man said, let me go, for it is daybreak. This man is the angel of the Lord. It's God. It's Jesus Christ. Then the man said, let me go, for it is daybreak. So how was he wrestling with him? In prayer. He went, I'm not letting you go. I'm not letting you go until you bless me. I'm not letting you go until you give me my answer. I'm not letting you go until you give me my solution. I'm not letting you go. See, a lot of people, they jump into prayer, and then it's superficially, very, very quickly, God, I need this, God, and then they jump out. But this Jacob, he just stayed there and he wouldn't let that angel of the Lord go, which was Jesus. He wouldn't let him go. And it was wrestling with him all night long in that prayer. So then the man said, let me go, for it is daybreak. But Jacob replied, I will not let you go unless you bless me. And the man asked him, what is your name? Jacob, he answered. Then the man said, your name will no longer be Jacob, but Israel, because you have struggled with God and with humans and have overcome. You see, God wasn't going to bless him. God weren't going to bless him. But because Jacob wouldn't let him go, and he's struggling with him and insisting, and imagine all through the night you're struggling, you're battling there with God in prayer. Some people will doze off and then say, oh, forget about it. Other people will give up after 5 minutes and say, oh, forget about it. But Jacob was struggling. I'm not getting out of prayer. I'm not letting you go. I'm not giving up until you do it. And his body must have been naked. His eyes must have been closing. He wanted to sleep. He wanted to give up. Every part of his fiber must have been screaming out, forget it, you're wasting your time. No, but he was struggling there. I'm not letting you go. I'm not giving up. He wouldn't get out of prayer. So the man said, you will no longer be called Jacob, but Israel. Why? Because you have struggled with God and with humans, and you have overcome. And Jacob said, then please tell me your name. But he replied, why do you ask my name? Then he blessed Jacob right there and then. So Jacob called that place Peniel, saying, it is because I saw God face to face, and yet my life was spared. This is why we know it's Jesus Christ that he saw, and not the Father himself, because nobody sees the Father. Okay, let me see that next part. Sun rose above him and he passed Peniel, and he was limping because of it. Okay, right? Get into that prayer, get into that fasting, get into that Bible, and battle, struggle with God all night long. Other people, they've got health issues, and they put all their trust in the doctors and not in God. They put all their hope in all these alternative approaches, alternative therapies, and acupuncture, and new age energy healing, and crystal healing, and angel healing, and yoga, and everything else apart from God. So I'm telling you, when nothing is working, try God. It's not working because you've left God as your last alternative. He needs to be not your first option, your only option, right? And then be like Jacob, just in there. I'm not letting you go. I'm not letting you go until you bless me. Bless me, I'm not letting you go. And if it means that you have to be praying throughout the night, you do that. Is it worth it? Of course it is. You can't give 6 hours if it requires. If you're not, you're going to give years of messing with all these worldly ways, worldly teachings, worldly approaches, worldly alternatives, and you're wasting years in that financial struggle, in that bad health, in that bad relationship, in that whatever it is that you're going through. Put God first. Put God first. Make him your only option. It's almost like, try to see it as an army going into war. They're about to invade a tropical island. So it's nighttime, and they're coming in with their ship to invade this island. What do? Before they step out of the boat onto the island, they burn the boat, or even better, they cause the boat to sink. They cause the boat to sink. So they make holes in the boat and everything, and they destroy the boat and they cause it to sink, and then they get off the boat and go to invade the island. Why? Because the fact that they have no boat now to flee from means they don't have option B, means they don't have plan B, which means whether they like it or not, they have no other choice but to gain victory on the island they are going to invade. If they left the boat there, then it gives them another option, such as, well, if we go to invade this island and we see that it doesn't work out for us, then we can easily retreat and flee. But so they cause the boat to sink, so they have no choice but to gain victory on that island now. You see, make sure that when nothing is working, you seek God on this level to the point where you're burning the boat so you can't retreat, to the point that you have no choice but to gain victory where you're going to take this land now, right? And you pray to God from this place to the place where there is no plan B, there is no other alternative, there is no other solution. You turn to God and you have a heart oriented to God to such a deep, intimate level that there is no other solution around you, no other alternative around you. This is my only way. There is no other way. You see, when you see it from this point of view, you will put your everything in that prayer. You will put your everything in that fast. You will put your everything in the presence of God. You will put your everything in reading the Holy Bible. Why? Because there is no other path. But without causing the boat to sink, there is another path now. There is a plan B. There is another option. So I don't have to put my all here, because if that doesn't work, I've always got that. But you have to make it in such a way where you don't have that, where you don't have a boat to flee because the boat sunk. So you have no choice now but to gain that victory over the land you're going to take. It's the same thing with God. You have to make sure that everything else is non-existent. Sink everything else. Nothing else is an option. Nothing else is an alternative. Nothing else is a plan B, plan C, plan D, plan X, Y, Z. There's only plan A. His name is God. When you start operating from this place, you will see that because nothing else exists and only God exists, now I give my 100% to God. There's no looking to the left, to the right. I give my 100% to God. I give my 100% to prayer. I give my 100% to the fasting. I give my 100% to the Bible, because that's all there is. There is nothing else. When nothing is working in your life, get to this place here. Focus on Jesus, and you will see the hand of God working in your life. But as long as you're doing this, as long as you're doing that, as long as you're doing, oh, what's over here? You're missing all this. That's where the power is. That's where the answers are. That's where the solutions are. That's where you get to see great and mighty things. Otherwise, you're always being distracted, left, right, and center, from the ways of this world, the approaches of this world, the alternatives offered by the world, plan B, C, D given to you by the world. And if you think about it, that's not even biblical. Because nowhere in the Bible did God tell you to seek alternatives. Did God tell you to seek plan B, C apart from him? What logical mind are you thinking from by believing that plan B, C, D has more power than God? That worldly alternative has more power than God. Can you see why nothing is working in your life? That's why. That's why. Make it all about God. And you will be tested. Don't think you won't. You will be tested. I'm being tested right now. I feel that my patience has been stretched and my limits have been reached. They have. But my patience and my limits, but I don't go by my patience and my limits. I go by the power of Christ who lives in me. This is how I know I can go beyond my limits and my patience. Because as the heavens are higher than the earth, so are God's ways higher than our ways, and his thoughts are higher than our thoughts. And so I have to endure. Did you just hear that heavy breathing out of my nostril? I have to endure. And I know that God is faithful. God is just. God has made promises in the Holy Bible. And he's faithful to his promise. And those promises are for us, his children, believers. So you will be tested. There will be lessons that you have to learn. My lesson here might be patience. My lesson could be learning to lean more on God, as opposed to, where is it? I've been waiting for ages. My lesson could be to lean more on God, and in difficulty, not allow any doubt or any whatsoever to come into the mind. Because I'll be honest with you, today, it did pass my mind today, and I said, should I just go and do it my way? And then automatically I snapped out of it, and I understood that's from the enemy, that's not from God. So I told myself, no, Venetia, you're not going to do it your way. Right? If God's not leading you to go, then you don't go. See how the enemy comes in, right? You will be tested. There will be trials. And my test could be, if you think about Joseph, he was in that prison for how many years? He was sold as a slave by his brothers. And he was a righteous person of God. He was unjustly accused. He was thrown into prison for doing nothing wrong. But never in that prison did he say, did he doubt God? Because it's nowhere in scripture that he doubted God, or that he complained about anything while he was in that prison, or that he spoke negatively of God or of other people while he was in that prison. He was faithful all the way through. That might be my lesson. That might be your lesson. There will be trials. There will be tests. There will be tests. When you start walking in this manner. But what happens after the testing? Well, the same thing that happened to Joseph. He was rewarded. He became governor of Egypt. I'm not saying you're going to be governor, but you will be rewarded. What happened to Jacob after he was tested? He was rewarded. Whatever was taken from him was returned to him multifold. See? There is a process. So stick to it when nothing is working. Try God. Put God first. You will not regret it. Right. You can donate to my ministry using the link below. Be sure to do that. You can purchase my books using the link below. Be sure to do that. My next books are coming out. If you need prayers or deliverance, email me or message me directly on Facebook, and I can video call you back. God bless you. Peace be with you.